Deegan up the inside. Got it. Danger Boy wins again. Chase Sexton, first win on the Kawasaki, first win of 2026.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Title 24, presented by NBC Sports. Myself and Ryan Villopoto coming to you today. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. Before we get going, let's thank our partners, like always, United Motorsports, Quadlock, Boxo, and Dunlop. Thank you guys. Best companies in the business. There's no doubt about that. It's a cold one here today. It was a long travel day yesterday, RV. We left Orange County. We're supposed to leave at like 7:30, 7:45, and then got a 3-hour delay because of that big winter storm, and had to drive from Atlanta. Could have been worse. Obviously, we could have still been stuck somewhere. Some people had hell of days. I think Weege was telling me, him and Brayton, dude, they took a red eye from LA on Saturday night after the race and got an hour and a half into their flight, and they had to turn around and go back to LA. And I think I beat him. I got to my house at 11 at night last night, and I think I beat them home, dude.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't miss for sure about professional racing is commercial travel.
Yeah, it is. It's something. It's not like it used to be. Again, we got a great job. We live a great life, but days like that, yeah, especially where we're at, it's definitely not fun. A wild weekend, some interesting racing. First and foremost, thank goodness Ryder Malinowski is okay. And man, that was brutal, him laying there, and really nothing that he could do. We'll get into it later in the show. What'd you do this weekend?
Yeah, buddy, went out took Gage out to Mesquite, Nevada on Thursday. Rode Friday, Saturday, and then packed up, drove back it's about an hour and a half east of Vegas. So made the trek home. It's about a 6-hour run. Kyle and Gage watched the race in the van on the way home. I listened to it and then watched yesterday, obviously the broadcast at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good weekend for us. Yeah, did some riding. Weather was good. Obviously, I've been watching the news. The East Coast is getting pounded right now with weather, cold. So glad to be out on the West Coast at this point.
Hey, where's your guys', I know we were talking about it before we hit record here, but where's your guys' area qualifiers we're at?
We have an area qualifier coming up at Mesquite, Nevada.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, is that why you guys went there, to get some track time?
We go there to get track time, but mainly we go there because Gary, that owns the track, promotes the racing out of that Mesquite, Nevada track, does a phenomenal job with prep, and it gets really ruddy and technical. So we chase to get out that way to get time on the track for the ruts, because as you know, West Coast, it's kind of hard to get that out here. So we're lucky to have that within a 6-hour run, because it's an epic place to go out and ride. But yeah, area will be there. Paula has one, Hangtown. So there's all that stuff's coming up. It's going to happen here pretty quick. So yeah, just trying to keep them on the bike, keep that seat time going.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Glad Brax is doing well. He's got 4 more weeks with the pen, and take that off. And then he said he's going to be wearing a cast for a little bit, and then shortly maybe some rehab after that.
Yep, exactly. Yep, 4 weeks with the pin in it. All the pain's gone. Luckily, pain is temporary. You know, it's hard to tell a 9-year-old that hey, you're going to get through this. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. Surgery went well, and didn't deal with a lot of anything really much at all. Made it through the first 2 nights, or the most critical ones from the pain aspect, right? So made it through those, and he's on his way now, running around like a 9-year-old. So he's just got to be careful with the, not tripping and falling and doing something stupid because he's 9.
Yeah. I hear you. All right, let's crack into it. I know our fans are probably ready for us to get going. United Motorsports moment of the week. Not a surprise, because we know how badass of a rider he is. And that has to be Chase Sexton's win in the 450 main event. Looked great all day for the most part. That was his 17th 450 career win as Supercross win. So a great job, Chase. Just one small mistake as far as when the racing started. He laid it down in the heat race, but gathered it up in the main event and made it happen when it counts the most. I voice, again, like every week, I voice my opinion and my analysis on the broadcast from your standpoint and what you watched on TV, your overall feel and what you saw on Chase this weekend, RV.
Man, I thought Chase rode well. Like you said, mistake in the heat race, but the heat race, he was able to recover. But no, the main event he looked like he was on. He was hitting his marks. Track was tough. I know, what was it, around Wednesday, Thursday-ish, they got a little bit of moisture that came down, which obviously we could definitely see that throughout the day, race day live. You could see that the ruts and how the track was developing. And into the night show, made the track very technical. But man, the way Chase rode, it looked like he was on point. Got a good start. No real mistakes from him, like in the main event that I could really, maybe a couple little ones here or there, but good to see him up there, because I think that's, I think I heard on the broadcast, it's been since 2022 that Kawasaki hasn't had a win. So long, pretty long stint there for the race team guys. And I'm just sure that everybody is stoked to finally get that monkey off Chase. Chase is back on the new team. We're only 3 rounds in. So, it's good for the confidence builder for Chase, and to see where this can come, close the points up quite a bit. That's a big, for a second there, we talked about it last week on the show. Like, I think he was already in the teens out of the lead, right? So
yeah, he was 18 points back, and he made a 5-point swing this weekend. That was big.
Which is huge, right? We're watching the replay, the ones that are watching Chase going down in the heat race, just a silly mistake, coming out of the sand. But yeah, closed up on the points. That's huge. I know it only seems like 5. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it definitely puts him in a different position already. With that win on Saturday night.
Yeah, 100%. I think I had a question for you as far as like the bike. And I mean, listen, we all know that the reason I think it's not surprising for RV and I is because we talk about all the time, he's the fastest guy in the class. It's the other stuff that he needs to clean up. Whether it's on the mental side, whether it's no mistake sides, things like that. If he clears all that up, the guy's probably winning every single weekend. But that's the thing about SMX World Championship and being a Supercross champ as well, is you have to be the most well-rounded. You have to have all those tangibles. So no surprise again for me on my behalf. He looked awesome. Again, the question that I wanted to ask you, RV, when you watch him and you watch that motorcycle, are there things that you like, that you don't like? Are there areas that you think the bike could work a little bit better, or is it perfect? Where are you at with the bike and how it looks from the eye test?
I think from the eye test, he looks comfortable on it. The bike looks stable. I think that's going to even get better. The more track conditions they get on in race scenarios, like we've talked about it before. You can test all you want during the off season in different conditions, but when you put the motorcycle in a race scenario, race conditions, you expose things that you may not ever expose during the week. And like I had said, Anaheim 2 there, with a little bit of the moisture that we had, the track was technical, was tough, was rough, ruddy. But overall, if I have to pick a side here, out of the last 3 brands that Chase has rode, I feel like the Kawasaki fits his style, or, he rides the Kawasaki better than the Red Bull KTM or even the factory Honda. Still working out some bugs with it. It's early. So I'm anticipating that the more seat time he gets on it, the more race experience he gets on it, that he should be able to clean up those little mistakes that we have seen in the early part of the season.
Good. Yeah, I would agree. Stu kind of said the same thing. He felt like this Cowie was good for him. When you talk about, and I'm trying to educate myself here, selfishly from you, When you say that you think that Chase looks the best out of the last three of the three manufacturers, Honda, KTM, and Cowie, that he's ridden for, like, what is it about the bike that you feel is better for him? Like, why is it this bike?
What I initially see with the Kawasaki is just the stability of it. The way Chase rides the bike, pretty neutral, right in the middle. He tends to load certain parts of the bike a lot, and just using a Honda, for example, he definitely lost. We talked about it a lot, losing the front end on that motorcycle. But the Kawasaki looks more stable when he puts that much pressure up onto the front as he comes into the turns. Then we can look at the Red Bull KTM. I think that had its pros and cons also. But you can look and say, okay, maybe it was a little bit of the team. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of that with the motorcycle. But just overall, looking at the Cowie, for me, it looks like it's more stable for Chase when he wants to push it and go the speed that he wants to go. And I think looking and watching the broadcast, and maybe you can help me with this, but watching Eli ride Anaheim 2, and it could have been more that, the track had to be ridden more precisely. And Eli is more of a hammerhead. He hits things really hard, likes to really call it override the track. And that's where he gets his speed. It's not a bad thing. Or was it maybe that we saw a different condition and the chassis was a little softer, because we had talked about Anaheim 1, how hooked up he looked at Anaheim 1, and we had completely different conditions at Anaheim 2. It was full traction, ruddy, where it was really going to pull the motorcycle down. I thought Eli looked a little bit uncomfortable at A2.
100%. I said the exact same thing as what you said. I am seeing what you saw as well from the three. I feel like going back to certainly Anaheim in those conditions, slick, gravelly. I feel that he came in ready to rip. And I also feel like those conditions really played into not only his bike, but that steel chassis in the Austrian brand motorcycles. I really, truly believe that. It looks like he could do no wrong. And I felt like this week, and I need to see him like another weekend. And I think we're going to see that this weekend in Houston. You know how that dirt is. It's much stickier than what he's been on for the most part. It gets ruddy at times. It's not as slick, and it's not forgiving because there's so much grip from what I remember there. So I go back to Anaheim RV. And again, I think that he came in prepared. The bike looked good, and the conditions, I think his bike catered to that. So it gave him a little bit more of an advantage. And he took advantage of that also with how good that bike was on those conditions. So again, I need 2 more weeks. I need another week to see how it works in a similar condition like that, like you talked about, more load on the motorcycle. When I watched it, it looked a little bit low. And again, it could be deceiving and an illusion with the plastics and stuff on the motorcycle. But with what it looked like to me, RV, this weekend, like he couldn't steer with his front very good. And yeah, I saw like his timing was off in practice a little bit. The precision wasn't there. I caught a clip after the race where he was talking to Ian Harrison, team manager, and it was like, dude, it was a struggle for him just to get that third. Like he had to really, really dig deep. And listen, sometimes these guys are going to have off nights. I don't know, how he was feeling. If he was feeling 100%, I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe something was going on with him physically that he wasn't feeling well. But nevertheless, I definitely have my eyes open going into Houston, wondering, is it track dependent and condition dependent? I'm with you on that, dude.
Yeah. It's, like I said, Eli, he rides, he pushes the motorcycle. He rides the track very tough. Maybe it was just that too. Maybe it was that the track needed to be ridden more precise, more calculated, and not driving through everything so hard like we typically see Eli doing, just with the conditions that Anaheim 2 exposed that all those riders too. So it's going to be interesting because we are getting back to head east. We're going to see a lot more of this ruddy condition, softer, as we talked.
Precision is going to be key.
Yep, we talked about earlier in the show, like East Coast right now is extreme, having some extreme weather. So the dirt's going to be potentially frozen with some snow on top of it. So it's going to melt when they get it put in these stadiums and things like that, right? So going to be very interesting to see if that was just a one-time thing, and or was Eli off Saturday night, or are we going to see some things that are exposed and they're going to have to work on that?
I hear you. All right, that's it for United Motorsports. Remember, like we say every single weekend, head over to unitedmotorsports.com/title24. Enter your email, get a $15 credit once you enter your email, and then after that, you'll automatically be entered into their $50 giveaway credit each and every week, and that will go towards your next order. So pretty cool incentives there from United Motorsports. Shifting gears, breaking down the 450 class a little bit, our Boxo breakdown portion of the show, boxousa.com. Great stuff. I know you're kitted out with all their tools, boxes and stuff. RV, you talk about we were talking about battles. I just want to go right into a question that we have from a fan, Adam Burfop 322. Has not having Jett Lawrence in the race so far shown us just how good Hunter really is? Like, dude, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, and then you voice your opinion. I think it's fair to say that this guy is he's sneaky. I think what he showed us last week against Eli, and I think we all can say Eli was like 10 for 10 as far as his riding and everything goes in San Diego. This week, I think he got a really good version of Chase Sexton. He kept him close. And if this guy continues to do what he does, he's one of the guys that he has the best average first lap than any other guy in the paddock right now. I know we're only 3 races into the series championship, but if he continues to do this, he might not have the raw speed, but we talk about overall tangibles. This guy could slip up in there and be and win this championship. Answer Adam's question, dude. What do you think?
That's right, RC. I think that the way Hunter has started off the season, number one, I don't think he comes out. He's not the racer or it doesn't have the personality of like just coming out swinging for knocking off the wins right out of the gate. But being as consistent as he is, back-to-back seconds, we close to Eli, like you said last weekend, kept Chase pretty honest this weekend. I think Hunter is a guy that builds across, over the 17 rounds. And the way it's going right now, I really like where Hunter sits. I can only sit on this side of the table and say he's going to get better along with everybody else. But I just don't see him coming out like Kenny does at Anaheim 1, like Eli, can, like he did this year. He's in it for the long haul, right? So, and I feel that his speed is really good right now, and I feel like he's a guy that builds onto that. Now, with Jett being gone, does it show how good Hunter is? Obviously, one of our main players is out of our main series, which is a tough one from a fan's perspective. But I think that Jett had set that bar the last few years very high. And I've said it before that once you set that bar, everybody else knows how to get there. They know where that bar is set. So I'm not saying Jett wouldn't come out and wax every one of these guys every weekend because he's that talented. But I think that the rest of the field also has closed that gap on Jett because he had said it a few years ago, said it last year, right? So, I think that our racing this year with Jett potentially would be a little bit closer because these riders know where they need to get to.
Yep, 100%. I've been super impressed. Did you hear when they talked to him on the podium and also I want to get your insight on this. I don't think that he's overly stoked on how his bike is handling, and I think what is an oversight, and it's really impressive to me, RV, is how well he's doing on maybe a subpar feeling bike. I think that I'm just guessing here. I think that eventually they're going to continue to get it better. And from my point of view, when you're testing the motorcycle and not racing it, dude, you're not at your best. So I guess what I'm saying is, at this stage, for him to be getting these finishes that he is, and how close he is on speed, dude, that is, and not really racing, like testing, right? He's more focused on how the bike is working at times and just going out and letting everything play out and ride the damn motorcycle. I think it even makes him that much better. Where are you at with his bike? What do you see with his bike? Like, and based on what I said, what do you think?
Well, to add to that, I think having Jett out, right? I think the two of them, Hunter and Jett Lawrence, being on the same team, and having basically two sets of different data from Hunter and Jett, and being able to cross match those. Hey, I'm doing, I'm running this. This is better. This is that. So I think being a standalone rider now, it really, that makes the your decisions maybe a little bit tougher, because you don't have somebody to bounce it off of, or somebody that you can rely on, that maybe is running a setting that's just a smidge different on Saturday, and say, hey, we run this, it works better than what we ran during the week. And Jett ran, chose to run this on Saturday. Hunter chose to run, a little bit different setup, and them, having that team structure like they do, and how well Dazzy and Team Honda and the boys work together. Now it's a standalone deal. It's on Hunter's shoulders. So maybe that's a little bit of what we're seeing, or we're gathering. Maybe that he's not just totally dialed in on the motorcycle, because he doesn't have help in that regard. Look at MotoGP for example. Ducati has like 8 motorcycles on the track. They get all, the factory side gets all that data. They can make very calculated changes when it comes to different settings and things like that, because they have so much data from other motorcycles. So having two guys like that ride very similar on very similar setups, and can bounce ideas off each other, is a huge asset. And I think Hunter's missing that currently, because obviously Jett being hurt.
Yeah, you're so right. It's like, an example of that would be like, if Jett tried, a linkage setup, or a shock setting, or a fork setting, whatever it might be on the part, whether it's a hard part, whether it's a valving change, they're already going to know what works, because of the other rider having tested it and giving that feedback, kind of like what you're alluding to on the Ducati, on the MotoGP side. 100%. I agree with you. Overall, I think that he continues to get that motorcycle better, and everybody that's tuned in to what RV is saying and what we're talking about on this podcast, I can tell you how nice it is, and how much of an impact it makes on your riding, and most importantly, your racing, when you can just go out there and you race. You know exactly what your bike's going to do, when it's going to do it, and what the reactions are going to be given certain conditions. And I just think as they get closer, dude, he's going to be an absolute weapon, because now he's challenged Eli. He's challenged the fastest guy in the paddock, and that's Chase Sexton. And again, those starts, dude, that is going to be key, I think, this year. It always is important, but I just feel with the field right now is good. So it's going to be fun to watch his progression. We got a couple sound bites. Don't run them yet, Hector. I want to ask you, RV, what you thought overall compared to the first 2 rounds of what you saw with the defending champ, Cooper Webb.
Yeah, I thought he definitely rode better. I could see, I saw, maybe it was on the broadcast. I think he was sitting on one of the landings of the jump next to the podium, near the podium. It definitely didn't look stoked. I know he flew back to Florida to work on himself, work on the bike, whatever the case may be, get back to somewhat normal. Cooper hasn't started, the opening parts of these seasons like super strong. So I think, what did he end up? He ended up 5th. Was it 5th?
Yeah, I think it was 5th.
Yeah. So, I think that you can't, and he made a little mistake. You can't count Coop out, right? We've talked about it, and multiple podcasts talk about it, and different people talk about his end of the season runs, right? So he wants to be better. Obviously, we could see that just by his body, his demeanor after the main event. But I think he's sitting in a good position, maybe not great. I know he wants to be up there racing for wins and more on, more to the front of that race. But I don't sit here and say push the panic button just yet, because this is kind of typical Cooper Webb. Doesn't start off, blazing a trail in the opening part of the season. It's from the middle to the end where he starts pouring on the heat, and he's done it in the past, and it's worked out multiple times for him. So obviously giving up points is always a struggle in the opening parts of the season. You'd rather not, because you got to dig yourself out of it. But it kind of seems like that's what he's always done. So I don't know, man. I think he's, we're going to have to wait and see. That's it. But we got another question here. Fan question. Z.Squirrel 1457. What does Webb need to do to get on the podium? Is it mental, or could it be the bike?
Great questions, Squirrel. RV, you touched on a lot of it. Straight up, he needs to bring the intensity. I look over, the first 2 races and this weekend, it was a massive turnaround. He came out, his intensity looked a lot better. I think that they made some adjustments last week at the goat farm, got him more comfortable. So yes, a couple things. Make the bike a little bit better for him. Listen, he's been in this. He's a 3-time champ. He knows where that bike needs to be good and where it needs to perform, and most importantly, how that bike needs to feel for him to get the best result in the race. He's old enough, so he knows where that needs to be, and he needs to take the responsibility to get that bike there, or as close as he can. He's got the team personnel to do it. We all know that. They got some great guys in-house there at Star Yamaha. So that's the first question. As far as the mental side, absolutely. He needs to get his mind right and put himself in that mindset of where he was in the championship stretch last year against Chase Sexton, when Chase was riding extremely well. Even though Coop might not always be the fastest, but on an average, and again, you talk about the tangibles, he's one of those guys that got it. So if I'm him, I'm trying to put myself in that mindset of, I go back to Pittsburgh and what an incredible race that was, and how he just dug deep and he beat Chase when he needed to beat Chase in a clutch moment. So if I'm Coop, I'm doing that. I'm a little bit different of where I'm at on the position of panic button than you are, RV. He's 23 points down. Definitely this past weekend at Anaheim was better, but I'm not saying panic. I'm in a must situation. 23 markers back. You got a full stacked field for the most part. Look what happened to Kenny this weekend. You know, Kenny had a rough weekend. He went down and he just wasn't able to come up through the pack like normal. Not sure if something was wrong. Maybe his bike was tweaked, but it's just going to be hard for these guys to march up through the field like that unless you have the overall speed advantage like a guy like Chase Sexton. I think that's why you see him be able to make all those moves, just because he has a speed gap on these guys. So yeah, I'm like, again, it's not panic, but he has to go out there and he has to win almost,
That's a good point. That's a good point. Looking at the standings, the point standings that were up, when you start looking at your almost an entire race down, you're 2 points out of being, an entire night, out, right? So 23 points. So looking at it from that standpoint, I correct a little bit of I didn't see the points until Hector ran the the standings here, but yeah, 23 points. You're starting to get into a situation there where it's going to be really hard to dig yourself out of that hole. And we know that, it's motocross, supercross, dirt bike racing. Anything can happen with. That's not going to be. We probably haven't seen the worst of the mistakes from every one of these guys inside the top 10. We're going to have issues, throughout the year. And when you're sitting 23 points down and you have a hiccup, and all of a sudden you lose 10 points, boom, now you're 33 points down, right? So maybe not the panic button, but my thumb's on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. And that's where it's
changed my mind.
No, it's like, yeah. And how, put yourself in that position. You started off slow and you're like, oh shit, I got your gimmies and your throwaway races, not necessarily throwaway races, but it just takes that wiggle room out of it. So now you're like, fuck, I got to go win, and I got to hope that for you, it would have been Dunge or Stu. You got to hope those guys have a bad night, Now I say this, and this is where the difference, in my opinion, comes from. This is where I think the advantage that Chase has is he has that speed advantage where Coop doesn't have that speed advantage. He has some other advantages that say his rivals don't have, but I would rather at this stage have the speed advantage because of what I said, and what you're agreeing with is you have to go out and win. And when you can't do it speed wise and you have to rely on other things, it makes it that much more difficult. So, and
you're a great person to talk about that because you didn't a lot of times have the speed, right?
100%. I won more RV towards the tail end of my career on just other people, making mistakes. Yep. 100%. And I knew that straight up. I knew it. We talked about it on the show. The way that I raced Chad was different than the way that I raced Stu. And I knew I had to win on a technicality, and, and a lot of this was by design, and it worked out well for me. But yeah, it sucks having to do that and having to rely on something. So it's going to be exciting, again, going into this weekend and seeing what happens and how these guys, adjust. What's Eli going to do? How does he bounce back from a hard fought third? Coop, coming out, having that intensity early, right? You got to just, dude, I think it starts right when that first practice goes out for Coop. I think he's got to get behind those guys. He's got to try to rattle their cages, get in that high intensity moment. And it starts from the first lap of practice. That's what I think. I think, again, we know that Chase can win. Chase has just got to keep the mistakes away. And so,
yeah. We got some sound bites here. Why don't we run Justin Cooper, Dylan Ferrandis, and Jorge Prado's sound bites?
Mediocre night. It wasn't like the last weekends where I've been able to move forward. I kind of got stuck in the pack. So frustrating, but yeah, there was positives tonight, and I'll definitely take it into next weekend and just keep trying, right?
Practice were good. Each race went a little soft on my fork, and I was a little too much. I have lost maybe my night in the heat race because got a good start, and I got took out in the second turn, and then I just finished a little late. Bad gate pick for main event, and I tried to play safe by getting a better rust on the outside, and I got a good start. And just first turn I was just too outside and got pushed, so I was pretty far away.
Super happy with the heat race win, and then got caught off in the start and had to come back through the pack, which was something new for me, and very happy I was able to actually pass riders and get super close at the end of the top 5. So happy about my riding, happy with the bike, and super good experience. A2 was I think the result didn't really show how good I was riding, but I'm happy with today.
It's nice to always prove to myself that I'm still one of those guys, that can be up there, and my speed is good, and it's just something that I enjoy doing, is being a 450, being a top 5 guy, and it's something I don't want to let go of. So being able to do it this weekend is nice, and I just want to keep doing it.
Good stuff. Hey boys, Coop, J. Coop, Ferrandis, Prado and El Hombre. Dude, thanks for the sound clip. It's super helpful for us, right, RV? Because then we're like kind of not guessing of what the
Yeah,
hell.
no, for sure. It's good. We get that's Anton there on the behind the scenes there. But I think Justin Cooper in the past has been a great starter. He's struggled this, we're 3 rounds in and hasn't been his typical starting position. So I think, that's definitely hindered him. Dylan Ferrandis working on that new bike. That is, as you know, that's an uphill battle with a new bike. Jorge, man, I think he's definitely kind of revived himself, in my opinion.
That was a hell, dude. I thought he looked awesome. I was like, I wasn't him straight up. I wasn't expecting him to do as well as he did and rebound from his ride in San Diego. So he exceeded my expectations by a lot.
He's doing what I thought, or even better than what I thought he should have done last year, right? Like put himself in great positions. We all know he's probably one of the best starters out there. He's knocking down heat race wins where he should be. He's getting that experience. He looks at home. Obviously, he's talked about that being back on Red Bull KTM. But yeah, it's good to see that. And Jason Anderson, man, he rode a hell of a night. With up front with those boys racing, I think he was a question mark for me, right? Watching Jason Anderson the last couple of years that we've seen, hasn't been probably what he's wanted or, as good as he showing as good as he actually is. But, he rode a phenomenal night on Saturday night at A2.
Damn sure did. 120%. And it kind of goes to a question, RV, from Emily Druick, asks, is Anderson better on a Suzuki or Kawasaki? Emily thinks he looks more comfortable. And I second what you say, Emily. I feel like he does look more comfortable. I feel like at times when I think about him on that Cowie, like in 90-degree corners and just certain positions on the track that the bike looked twitchy to me when he was riding it, like it wasn't compliant and not very forgiving. And I feel like I think he looks great.
Could be a little bit of that, RC. I think where he's at in his career, to add to that, where he's at in his career, and just knowing Jason, I don't know him super well, but I do know him fairly well. Being on that Twisted Tea Suzuki versus a factory team, we all know Jason is a bit looser than the average, than Eli Tomac or Jorge Prado or Chase Sexton, right? So being on that side, maybe there's less pressure and he can just be who he really wants to be on and off the bike.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the question, Emily. Yeah, I'm all in support. He said he was sick at San Diego, then he ran up front. It's the first time he's ran up front in a while. So, and he talked about, I saw him on another interview where it was different racing up there, obviously, as it would be, say, in 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's not that it caught him off guard, but it was just different, and he was glad to be up there and wants to do it a little more. So I think he's going to get better, but I do think he looks better on that motorcycle. RV, we're going to take a little break here. We're going to talk when we come back. We're going to talk about Haiden and his second win and break down all the 250 class and what that looked like. And that'll be our Dunlop debate. So we will be right back with you guys in a quick moment. Welcome back to Title 24, everybody. Myself, Ricky Carmichael, and Ryan Villopoto, my co-host, coming at you. A little download from round 3 of the Monster Energy SMX World Championship at Anaheim 2. Hell of a race in the 450. That was fun breaking that down. RV bringing some great insight and analysis for sure. Now we're going to switch gears to the 250 class. Haiden going out there, really no surprise. RV bagging that second win of the season. And again, like we did on the 450, what did you think of Deegan's performance? Pretty much, and he had a clean pass for the lead on his teammate Michael Mosiman, who's doing a hell of a job and had a great race, by the way. What'd you dislike from what you saw from Deegs?
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course with Haiden. I think he rode phenomenal, put himself in a great position. That first couple heat races of the 250 class was pretty eventful. Obviously, Levi going down, Chance case in that triple. There's a lot of action going on in that 250 class. But in that main event, we lost Levi, we lost Chance, but Haiden put himself in a great position. Great start, rode an amazing race for himself, along with Michael Mosiman. He led a ton of laps.
Where are you at with Mosiman? Like, tell me your thoughts on that. Did you expect him to do as well as he's doing? Like, give me your Haiden was awesome. But go all in on Mosiman, dude.
I expected Haiden to close that gap a lot sooner, and run him down right away, and pass him and put a big lead on him, which it took a pretty big part of that race for Haiden to close that gap. Not to say he wasn't managing his race, because we know that Haiden and a lot of those top guys, they manage their race very carefully. But yeah, Michael was riding phenomenal. Did I expect him to do that? No, I did not expect Michael to ride that well. We know he's got speed, and he's shown in the past that he can run up front, but that was a consistent main event for him, and he hit all of his marks, did exactly what he needed to do. I'm sure he would have loved to win that main event for himself, for the team, but I think it was a huge step in the right direction, building that foundation for him, building it back up, right? Because he's been, hit and miss a lot of times. So I think that's a big confidence booster for him, for the team. And, he kind of established himself at this point. I think he's sitting second in the points at this point, correct?
I think he is, if not.
Yeah, there you go, right there. 1 point ahead of Max. Max didn't have the night he obviously wanted. So now, Michael's sitting, with 9 points out of the lead from Haiden. So I think that was a hell of a night for Michael. And back to Haiden, he did what I expected Haiden to do. He's a champion. He rode phenomenal. Put himself in a great position like he typically does, and rode smart and, knocked down another win. So exactly what I expect Haiden to do, what he expects himself to do. So I thought from Hayden's standpoint, pretty straightforward. Michael was got the guy to be talking about, for after A2. Or after round 3, A2.
Total bummer for Hymas going down.
Do we have any feedback on that? Did he?
No, Hymas, I think, dislocated his shoulder. You can see right here, he gets a bad jump. And then at that point, just kind of gets bottled up. Avery Long, as he's coming into the first corner, he gets a little sideways. And I think his rear wheel hit Chance's front wheel, and then he went down. Like I said, I think that dislocated his shoulder. There he is. For you guys just listen to the audio version, he's riding off the track. And then the next thing I know, dude, I look up, and then I see the chef go down. Looks like his start device didn't unlock, but regardless, 3 times in a row, all 3 main events, he crashes in the first turn. Dude, you were outspoken on the podcast at the beginning of the season, like he needed to go out there and he needed to put in good runs. Had a gnarly get off in the heat race.
Yes, he did.
So first and foremost, Chef, glad you're all right from that. I'm bumming, dude. I had high hopes for him, and it has been less than impressive. I don't have any words. It
is. And Hector, if you pull that start up back, RC, this is a perfect scenario for me. Look Levi was look where he is on the gate. Look how far outside he is, like that is a perfect scenario. I know we talked about it probably last season and the season before. The trend was to go middle of the start, or even, opening the first turn up. So starting on the outside, not what I would recommend, especially with that first turn. I'm an inside guy, not gate
Same.
1, but 3, anywhere from 3 to gate 8, let's call it, like be up on that inside. That guys are going to blow into that first turn, leave the inside open. James was a master at it. If you go back to any of the, call it myself, your career,
Yeah.
when I raced James, when I raced Dunge, you wouldn't find any of us up out there on the outside, period. So I think that a lot of these guys, opening that first turn up, thinking you're going to, come in with more speed. Look at number 57. I know he goes down. He catches the back of, if we watch that one more time, he catches the back of McAdoo, and that's why he ended up going down. But he didn't even have a great jump. And if it wasn't for,
I think it's Avery Long. I think.
Yep, Avery Long. If it wasn't for him coming in actually just too hot into that first turn and getting high-sided up on the side of McAdoo, look where if he could have gone right up the inside, he would have came out in the top 5. And he was very, very close, very, very on the inside gate, with
Yeah, but look right here though, like his front end doesn't unlock, but he still crashes by himself. Like, you're right, everything about it, I agree with you. Starting on the outside, now he had a bad pick, but I think still he could have probably gone on the inside, alluding to what you said, 100%. And I agree with you. I'm an inside guy as well. So it started with that, going to the outside, like you're saying. He got lucky that he made it around the first corner, like you said. And then he's like 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
Goes down.
Yeah. I think, look, yes, with the heat race, with the crash, and that he didn't have maybe the best pick for a starting position, but I can guarantee you there was some of those very inside gates that were open. So just something to talk about. I don't like that outside pick for a lot of those guys. I think it's a risky move. If you don't get the jump, it's a really tough position to put yourself in and try to think you're going to navigate through that first turn that far on the outside. That's just my take on that.
Yeah. Hey, before we get to the Dunlop debate, a couple notables. Love the late race battle with McAdoo and Ryder D. Ryder D hanging in there, dude.
Yep.
Like, we used to help Ryder D. He's been impressive. I loved what he did there. He stuck with Cameron, kept the pressure on, boom, boom, boom. Didn't override, especially late in the race when, fatigue can set in, and he pounced. Cameron made a mistake. He got the position, bags his 2nd podium of the year. And again, I go back to Cameron. Cameron had a solid ride, all things considered. Again, I love what I'm seeing from Ryder D, bro.
Yep. Yeah, no, he rode phenomenal. He did ride rode well.
Yep.
I think it's the best, it's by far the best opening part of the season for Ryder. And he's looking comfortable on the motorcycle. He's looking strong. I think he's going to keep building on that. But RC, we got another question here. Is there anything with Anstie or anybody else can do, or is this just a Deegan's to lose to you, RC?
Yeah, for sure. Great question, RV. I think for sure it's Hayden's to lose, without a doubt. He has the speed. He has the mental side of it. He plays the game well. But again, he showed us a great run today outside of, take all the outside stuff out and everybody's opinion. If you look at the ride that he did, he got a decent start. Mosey was riding extremely well, putting in some great laps, and it never seemed like he overrode or pushed it too hard. He kind of just slowly chipped away at that lead. And these are the type of rides and the quality rides that you expect from a guy like Haiden, where he is at in his career now. He has plenty of experience in Supercross, and that was a veteran ride for sure. He, again, chipped away, and Mosey slowly started coming back to him. He made a fantastic pass on Mosiman for the lead, and went on to bag his second win. So yeah, to answer that question, 100%, this is his to lose. Another thing on that, like Anstie, what does Anstie got to do? That was a tough weekend. I think he went off track. I can't remember showing it on the broadcast. I don't think we did. RV, if you did see it, then you can allude to it. But tough weekend for Anstie. But I'm not giving up on Anstie. I still like what he brings to the table each and every week. So yeah, I'm not giving up. But for sure, it's Hayden's to lose. Do you feel the same?
I feel the same way. I just where he's at, as many races as he's won, the speed that he has in the, that he can uncork, and he's also consistent. So that's a hard combination to beat.
Yep, it is. Hey, closing out the Boxo breakdown. Boxo breakdown. Pardon me. Let's move along to the Dunlop debate, and the broadcast interviewed Chad Reed during that red flag of the SMX Next. First and foremost, we talked about it. Good thing to see Ryder Malinowski, the update on his social media. That was a brutal impact and crash. Nothing that he could really do. It was Max Shane who made a little mistake. He got cross-rutted and then kind of went into the line of Ryder. Hate seeing that. I definitely thought, like, when I saw Anaheim 1 and the collision with Mookie and Barsha, I didn't think that I would see anything quite as violent as that. And this was a close run to that, sadly. Racing, whatever. But long story short, do you agree? And if you heard what Chad had to say, do you agree with his words? And do you think SMX Next program in the race should they race on a less beat up track, or like what do you think? And based upon what Reedy said, where are you at with that debate?
Well, I think it's really tough. Number one, we have to give these kids the exposure, right, to what's next in their career, leaving amateurs and getting them on the track and getting them exposed to what they're going to have to race against once they do turn pro. I think that, I talked to Hector about it a little bit, one of our co-producers on the show, before we went live filming, is there's things we can do, but there's nothing we can do based on obviously weather. And I think what made that track extra technical, let's call it, was the bit of rain that we had before. Now, if that would have been a dry, call it Anaheim, like Anaheim 1 was, without the ruts and things like that, I don't think we see that crash in that rhythm section. But because it was ruddy, it exposed those kids to something in a race scenario that, a lot of them have never seen. So that being said, I agree with what Chad said on the broadcast. I think we need to, I actually was talking about it in the van to Kyle, like, hey, if we're going to have SMX Next program, let's, there's not much we can do with actually changing the track. All these kids jump the jumps already. They do the triples, they do the quads, they do it just as good as some of the top pros, right? So, but maybe making the landings and certain things that are a little more forgiving. We could put a flat track in the middle of that stadium. Eli and Chase and Hunter and all those guys, the cream's always going to rise to the top. I've heard you say that. I've said it a lot of times on the show. It doesn't matter what the condition is per se for those top guys, the real show, why people are there to watch. We're going to have great racing across the board. So when we do expose these SMX Next guys to these tracks and these scenarios, maybe we take the landings and we roll them a little bit more. I know it's we're there for the top and the main show. But we also have to groom these riders coming up so that when Eli retires and when Jason Anderson retires and when Barsha retires and the 250 guys move to the 450 class, we have a stable of riders that are moving their way up. Right. And number one, we got to keep them healthy. So, but it's a tough topic to even talk about, because what do what do you do? What is the right answer?
In a perfect world, I mean, and we don't live in a perfect world. I mean, let's listen to Chad. We have a soundbite from that, Hector. Roll Chad's interview with Will Christian.
When you take my experience, the fact that these guys are learning, I'm surprised that we're putting them on a racetrack at this point. This is the worst. The track will be all night long, and I don't like that, if I'm honest. I think Supercross needs to be better. This platform, this concept and idea is so awesome. My own child will race this series next year, and I hope we learn from this and we get better. But these kids rip. Like, watch them when we go racing here. I hope Ryder's okay. I hear the crowd cheering in the background, so I hope that's good things. But these guys they're the future of our sport, and we need to keep them safe. We need to keep them out there and get their appetite wet so that they are, awesome Supercross riders.
Yeah, and look, maybe there's another place where we could stick them in the schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't think that Feld and everybody that sits around the table hasn't thought about how to make this perfect, right? So it is where everybody is learning to try to, and maybe that's something they rethink. Maybe it's the start of the show before the heat races. I don't know what the right answer is. I'm not, and then thank God I'm not in that position to make those calls, because there's always going to be a complaint on one side of the table or the other side of the table. So
yeah, you could put them on. You could put them on a perfectly groomed track. The speeds are going to be considerably faster. Then if there is an impact with faster speeds comes, gravity never changes. They're going to be going faster, and the impact could possibly be bigger. You put them like what Chad's saying, and where they, where Feld puts this in the run of the program. The track is gnarly, and like you said, it was rutted at this particular spot. It is, the track isn't ideal. It's not perfect as if it would be, them being the first race of the night. So the conditions are more difficult with less experienced riders. Get that also to Chad's point and what he's saying. I do think that Feld and the powers that be have thought of that already, and we're not living in a perfect world. Can we do better? We can do better everywhere. Everybody can do better. 120%, like you're saying. I think sometimes, looking at gnarly conditions, like it's kind of good to put them in, I wouldn't say gnarly, but challenging positions so that they do learn, so that when they do go to race Supercross in the 250 divisional series next year, that they have that experience and they've ridden that rough track. What's the breaking point, dude? I'm glad, like you, RV, I don't have to make those decisions. I see both sides. I never want anyone to get hurt. You could make a damn fair case that supports what Chad's saying, and then you could make a case for putting them out there on a smooth track and them just going faster, and what happens then. So I think it's something that we can certainly learn from and be better. I don't know, what would a compromise be? Maybe switch where the track maintenance is. Hell, I don't know. I'd have to sit there and think about it. But there's definitely validity to what Chad says, and first and foremost, we got to do our best job to keep the guys healthy. I do feel like they're doing that. Again, I don't think they're putting them out there to want to hurt anybody. No way. There's no shot.
No, we're trying to develop the racers, and like I said, have horses in the stable.
Yeah.
When guys move out and 250 guys move up, and there's open seats in the 250 class for guys coming out of amateur. Like with this is fairly new. This wasn't an option for you. This wasn't an option for me.
That's right.
So yeah, there's going to be things to learn from and potentially change.
Yeah, make it better. Absolutely. Again, a lot of validity there with what our buddy Chad Reed said, for sure. And first and foremost, Reedy, thanks for giving us the time during that red flag, and your insights always invaluable. And I think, to what he's saying, I think that things will be better because of that. And most importantly, glad to see that Ryder is going to be okay. I haven't seen an update on Max's condition. I saw him like moving around and stuff during the red flag when they were putting him on the backboard and stuff like that. So obviously he had movement there, but hopefully, Max, that you're hanging in there and that you will obviously be okay. So yeah, not a fun Dunlop debate part of the show today.
No,
but definitely a topic that needs to be evaluated, and I have no doubt that it will be, and it will be better from this. We're going to take a quick break, our last break of the show, RV, and when we come back, we got our call from Cardo segment, and of course the quad lot question of the week, and finish up the show. So we'll be back with you in a few minutes.
All right, guys, we're back. Myself, Ryan Villopoto, Ricky Carmichael. Man, we got the call from Cardo. Awesome sponsor of them. It's a great having them on board. Always giving away free stuff to our fans and the ones that we pick. So RC, this question is for you. It is 406_moto. During qualifying, I noticed the guys get stopped by an official when they go around the whoops. What is this for?
Oh, great question. So we're seeing right here for everyone's just the audio version. Kenny Christian Craig goes around the whoops. The reason that they have the official there, the AMA official, to slow these guys down is just from a standpoint of guys possibly going around the whoops and say like the whoops, let's just say for conversation purposes, it takes you 7 seconds to go there. Say one guy goes around it just because they're like remounting and want to get a fast lap after that. And they go through that section in 5 seconds. It's just basically not to, mess up their true time and what that would be. For that's why they stop these guys, let more time pass by than what would it take them to get through that section. So that's why they do that. That's a great question. I think it's great that the AMA officials do that, and especially at the 450 level. RV, you know this, like it ain't no, I mean, you wouldn't hop off the track or like and try to gain a fast lap because of that. These guys are really honest riders, so they wouldn't do that. But you have to have it for everybody, and that's why they do that. We had, by the way, before I go to my question for you, RV, we had a ton of engagement. We appreciate you guys for being so active with RV and I, dude. It's been incredible. So we wish we could get to all of them, but it's almost impossible. So we do our best to pick out the best ones that we think you guys will like. It doesn't mean that we're not reading every one of you guys' questions. RV, for you, with the elimination of practice and now some of these guys doing press day, do you feel like it gives these guys an advantage doing press day since they have eliminated that one free practice?
So that has been a topic for a lot of times, for a long time, I should say. I remember when I raced, hey, let's get press day in. Let's try to get, a little bit of seat time on the track, on the dirt, and get some rhythm sections down. So being that we only have two, qualifying sessions now, there's no free practice. Yeah, on one hand, it does give an advantage to the guys that do get to ride press day. Now, I will say that as an ex-racer, what I see when I get out to the track, if I'm going down there and I'm like, man, that jump looks big, that this one looks questionable. What I like to see from, as a racer is when I watch those guys come out and they pop the triple out of the turn, and there's 5 to 8 guys, 10 guys doing it that potentially rode press day. That in the back of my mind already tells me that, okay, that is a non-questionable jump. Like the first 8 that rode it, yes, they know that rhythm section. They've got it down already. But these bikes are so fast already that, you know, it's like, man, if you see 5 guys doing it, 8 guys doing it, you're like, okay, it's no question. There's been times where it's like Stu's the only one hitting the quad out of the turn, and you're like, he's the only guy. It's like, okay, it must be big, right? So does it give those guys an advantage? It surely helps for sure, getting at least that first time practice, getting up to speed right away. You know, maybe it is a little bit of maybe it is a little lopsided. But number one, the news stations, the media, the reason why we have press day, they want to see factory Red Bull KTM. They want to see factory Honda. They want to see factory Kawasaki. I'm sorry that maybe some of the other guys get the short end of that stick, because we can't add every single guy that lines up on the line in press day. And I think, and they do try to, hey, you've had press day twice, 3 times already this year. We're going to get these guys in, and we're going to, you know, flop it around, and we're going to make sure that everybody gets a press day. Typically that's kind of how it works. But to answer the question, just the dry part of the question is, yes, it does give an advantage.
Sweet.
Yeah, it does. So RC got another question. Webb mentioned how hard it is to start in the middle of 2 great starters like Hunter and Prado. So if you are Ricky or RV would choose a gate on the inside of them over the conditions of the rut out of the gate.
100%, I would go to the inside without a doubt. And the thing about, I think, and I don't want to speak for Coop, if you have some insight as well, RV, please weigh in. I think what Coop is trying to explain there is that when you have 2 good guys starting on the outside of, like, one guy on the left, one guy on the right, assuming they're going to get a better jump than you, first thing they're going to do is they're going to close you out, and they're going to squeeze you, they're going to pinch you, and then you're going to fall behind. So that's probably what he's saying. 120%. And I don't know what the picks were. So maybe Coop didn't have an opportunity to go inside, or maybe the inside that we would have had an option for wasn't good enough, or maybe he would have got squeezed out too much, like the angle, you know how it is. So I think, to answer that question, for sure, I'm going to the inside without a doubt, if it's available. If it's the only thing I have left, rather than going outside, then I'm going to take my chances and start in between them. But ideally, I'd go to the inside. If it's the only thing that I had, and I had to go to the outside, I'd take the right in the middle and take my chances of at least squeaking out one of those guys. What would you do?
I agree. You lining up between Prado and Hunter, typically 2 great starters. Prado for sure a great starter. Hunter's no slouch on the gate. You know, I would say I'm betting, right? Like those 2 are better starters than Coop is. So to, you know, what was available, not 100% sure. I wasn't down on the floor, obviously, to see what was available, but I'm trying to put myself up on the inside. To put yourself in between those 2 starters, it takes just the split second to be closed off by one of them. And you have 2 of them on each, you know, one of them on each side of you. So you have 2 guys that you're racing to get a clutch lever, a grip lever in front of. So tough scenario to be in for sure. I would have, my number 1 pick would have been going on the inside of them. And then obviously your second pick is going on the outside of them. He chose to go in the middle for whatever reason. So that's a tough spot to be in, starting with those guys.
Yep. All right. Hey, drum roll, Hector, quad lock question of the week. And our big winner this week is Nickel 959. Couple underscores in there, but dude, I like that name. Right? Nickel 959.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dude, good stuff. Congratulations, Nickel 959. You are the winner of the quad lock. Eli, I'm on today, guy.
Yeah, you are.
Congratulations. I like this, dude. We don't have to talk moto. It's who do you want to win the Super Bowl this year?
Well, I don't watch a lot of football. I did watch the games yesterday. What was it? I think it was the first game at 12 o'clock our time over here. Started off looking like the field was pretty damn good, and then all of a sudden it was a damn snowstorm. So
yeah,
in Denver. Denver. Yeah, so we watched that, and then we obviously watched the 3 o'clock game, which was
the Rams and the
and the Hawks, bro. So I'm gonna have to go with the Hawks for me. That's hometown type. If I'm gonna claim it, if the Hawks weren't in it, I guess I'm going for the Rams because they're local. But no real I guess particular team.
Yeah,
but
you don't give a damn, dude. Just be straight. You don't give a damn.
I don't, but because the Seahawks are in it.
Yeah, that's your territory. Your home territory, dude. Yeah, you just said you don't give it. You don't even really watch it. You don't watch
I don't, but it's because the Seahawks are in it. I'm leaning on the Seahawks side. Got to go with the hometown.
Dude, you mean to tell me a guy that is a master on a grill and stuff like that, and you love a beverage? How the hell do you not like football, dude?
I wouldn't. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'm a Supercross guy, man. I grew up in the dirt, racing motorcycles.
I know that, but dude, when it's not racing, like, come on.
I did have the Daytona 24-hour on yesterday too. I think it was on in the morning.
We got to do that. We got to do that. Me and you. Title 24, Rolex 24 next year. I'm calling out the president of the Daytona International Speedway, and we got to get us dialed in. We're gonna race the Mazda class, dude.
That would be cool.
Yeah, we don't need to hop into the big Daytona. The
Mazda class would be cool.
The prototype GTs. That's out of our league. Mazdas would be cool though. Still be competitive.
Hector says he's gonna pit for us.
Oh shit. You better start practicing. Heck, we have wheels fall off, dude. We can't be doing that. Nickel 959. I'm going for the Patriots, dude.
Okay.
I like Sam Darnold. I think they're both incredible stories. Just for Sam Darnold, like, I don't think anyone expected him unless you're a Seahawks fan. Or I certainly didn't expect the Seahawks to be where they're at, and I didn't expect the new head coach of the Patriots to do as well as he did. Just because I'm not super inside of NFL, but I like watching. So nevertheless, I mean, it's always fun for me to watch the Super Bowl. So that's who I'm going for. RV, you and I are a house divided.
There we go.
Hey, real quick before I do the Motorsports on NBC's show you guys what's happening, what's on the docket for this week. When you were in practice as Supercross, like, would you let Dunge get behind you and go follow your lines if you're doing a fast lap?
I would try not to, right? So there's certain times when you're out there in practice trying to, mind your own business, put in your laps, find those lines, get the rhythm sections down. Occasionally you'll get caught off guard and boom, they'll pop out of the mechanics area and they would be behind you. Depending on my scenario, right? Like, I typically wasn't a great, time qualifier, getting it on the board. Like, I would end up on the board, but it wasn't first, or, like, typically it wasn't first, second, or third. It was like sixth, fifth, something like that. Right. So if he happened to pop on the track behind me and I was trying to put one on the board, and time was starting to run out and get down to where the checkered flag was coming out, I would have to stick with my game plan and stick with what I was doing. And if he followed me for half the track, it is what it was, because I had to get time on the board. I would also reverse that, RC. I would go pull into the pit area, and if I was struggling with a section or just hitting my marks, getting comfortable on the track, I'd pull into the pit area and wait for somebody. It might not have been James, I would try to pick somebody, because as soon as I pull behind James, boom, he's going to pull off, right? So I wouldn't pick the leader or necessarily Dunge because they were aware of those things. That's why you asked that question to me. But I would pick maybe somebody that was running around third or fourth that, that wasn't expecting me to jump behind them. And I would put in my time right behind them. And really it would just take, 1 or 2 laps like that for me to just kind of find my flow. And it just helps to have sometimes to follow somebody instead of trying to figure it out all yourself.
Yeah, 100%. A little bit different. Like we didn't have to qualify for gate position, so there ain't no chance in hell that I was going to let Chad, MC, Bubs get behind me and get a tow. I didn't want to, I didn't need to give them any more ammo than what they already had. And I wasn't trying to make my job harder. And it was like in our day, if I tried to hop behind MC or Reedy, they would pull out for sure. Like, and just be like, nope, I'm not showing you what I got. So, for sure. If you're already committed and they hop in mid lap and it's for your qualifying position, then I could stick to the game plan. But I'm with you and probably most Supercross champs. I ain't trying to have my competition follow me on a fast lap.
That's right.
Back in the day. All right, Hector, roll that graphics for the Motorsports on NBC's Motorsports on NBC. There you go. Race day live, 1 p.m. live on Peacock at Houston. Dude, I love going to Houston. Then 7 p.m. all these times are Eastern, like every weekend. So it's going to be 6 local and 12 local. But again, 1 p.m. Peacock, and then this is going to be a triple crown, RV, and the SMX post-race show presented by Johnny Morris's Bass Pro Shop. That's follows our show, so it'll be shortly after. We just roll right into it. So make sure you check that out, and the SMX Video Pass is available as well. So go get that. I'm stoked for Houston. What you got? Any predictions? What are you going to be looking for at Houston? Like we talked about?
I don't know about predictions, but what I can tell you is the Triple Crown definitely adds another element into, we talk about it every year, another element into the series, right? It's three gate drops, 3 main events, shorter time of actual on track time, but you got 3 gate drops. So, and they accumulate those points at the end. So, it seems to always have some type of wrench thrown in the program for somebody, right? So, I can sit on this side of the table and I don't know how much I would like, the Triple Crown format, just because of what it brings to the table. As from a fan's perspective, it's awesome, right? But as a racer, you were brought up with heat race and main events. I was brought up with heat race and main events, and now it's a staple inside the household of SMX. So, it's a little bit longer show, more time on the track. We get to see a lot more action. So I'm looking forward to it. I think I think we're gonna have to wait and see, because, like I said, Triple Crown brings a lot more to the table and a lot more action on Saturday night.
Not that the heat races in this day compared to a normal schedule versus Triple Crown schedule, and we're going to be beating it. We're going to beat this thing to death on the broadcast. I know, for the viewers that probably don't know that, so that's why we have to continue to say it and explain it, because not everybody knows SMX like maybe the viewers that watch it every single week. So be patient with us and Weege when we explain it all. But I like it because everything means something. That first gate drop is a score towards the bottom line at the end of the night. Not saying that a regular format in a heat race doesn't mean much, but the third in a heat race is a little bit different than a third in a Triple Crown format in that first race. So it's going to be a lot of fun, high action. The tempo of that race is always just flies by. We got the SMX Next group again, so we're going to get to watch these guys display their talents. Monster Energy Star Yamaha absolutely crushed the game there, so it'll be interesting to see if they can uncover the podium again. But that's it, dude. We got to thank United Motorsports, Quad Lock, Boxo, Dunlop, and Cardo. That's it for us great job bringing us back from break. Great analysis by you today, RV. Remember, you guys, you can watch us on the Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page, and then, of course, we're on all the podcast applications. I hope everybody has a great week. RV, you as well. And we'll do this thing again next Monday. We'll see you next Monday, everybody.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports. If you enjoyed what you just watched, well, it's time to bring the action and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel. You can have it all: news, highlights, interviews, and analysis. So go for it.